The investor that loses the most is the one that never pulls the trigger. So many people, man, they research, and they get so much analysis paralysis that they never make a decision.
I say the first two purchases is where the game is won and lost. The first time they think it's a bit of a fluke, the second time it's tried and tested and they've got to roll on and they're like, mate, let's make this thing happen.
That first one is just so crucial, because if you get that first one wrong, you'll kill the whole idea of ever doing it again. You can't win lotto without buying a ticket, right? You have to put your ticket in the race to actually win something.
Nothing will tear a couple apart than really bad financial decisions. Marriage can survive infidelity, but it can't survive financial issues.
92% of property investors get stuck at 2 or less properties. It's not knowing how to get beyond 1 or 2 properties, because obviously you never pull the trigger, you never make any money.
G'day everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my chat with Big Sammy Gordon. I had to break this up into 2 episodes. I get feedback all the time that sometimes we have these killer episodes and it's too much for people to digest and take in, which is why I want to split it out, kind of calm your mind, because we're going to rev him up again and get fighting. Because I've got all the questions that I get a lot from what I'd call newer investors. So these are aspirational investors that come in. Guys, I have hundreds of calls with new people that are coming in. I got to say, people talk about the first one being crucial. I say the first 2 purchases is where the game is won and lost. The first time they think it's a bit of a fluke, the second time it's tried and tested and they've got to roll on and they're like, mate, let's make this thing happen. And that's why I say get past the first 2 and we can really, the rubber will hit the road at that point as well. And that's what I want to talk to you about, Sam, which is I've got a few questions here. I'll go through them and then we'll come back to each one. So just say if you're listening and you say, yes, that's me, you want to hang out for this chat as well. The first one I've got is, my partner and I aren't aligned. Now, whether that's with who they're choosing as part of their team, we don't agree on how to invest, for example. We want to pay off our mortgage first before we go and invest. You've heard it. You're laughing. I've heard it before as well. The next one is we don't know who to trust. Yeah, we've seen a few on socials. They're all saying something similar. Yep. There's a lot of brown dudes that are on YouTube in property. I'm not accepting.
Don't throw yourself under the bus here, brother. Come on.
I'm just saying, I'll go through property. I'm like, yeah, man, it's all looking the same. But anyway, we're scared of making a bad or wrong decision. Like the stakes have got a little bit higher as well. I think you guys are all trying to clip the ticket and sell me a dream. So there's a little bit of skepticism there as well.
For sure.
And the next one I think we touched on in the last episode, which is, but cash flow leakage becomes very hard to scale. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any you want to add in there, do you think?
Anything to add in there?
Yeah.
Like a first timer?
As a first or early investor?
Oh man, you've thrown me on the spot here. Man, I think your questions they're all prudent, and I think it'll throw answers across the board that'll answer more than just is what's asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like this is going to be a good feeder into other ideas that I think will come to both of us in terms of what there is. But I think one thing I will throw in just to start with is the investor that loses the most is the one that never pulls the trigger. So many people, man, and I've seen this happen so many times, is they research, and they get so much analysis paralysis they can never make a decision. And whether that makes them never pull the trigger, because obviously you never pull the trigger, you never make any money. You might not make money either way. You might not, whether you don't lose money or don't make money, whatever. You can't. It's like the lotto. You can't win lotto without buying a ticket, right? You have to put your ticket in the race to actually win something. And so I think researching, and you know what, man, a bit of skepticism is prudent. I don't think there's anything wrong with a bit of skepticism, because a bit of skepticism, it should make you research harder and hopefully find those that are aligned most closely to you that you can trust and hopefully get a great result out of as well. And man, I didn't back in the day, man. I was just like, there was this one person that I really believed that they were great at what they did. Very similar sort of upbringing to me, very blue collar. And man, I got fleeced 10 grand as a 26-year-old making like 70 grand a year. So that set my moral compass really, really straight, but it also, it made me realize that you can't just trust everyone. And so I think a little bit of skepticism is good. Man, it's just part of the game. And it's just, you want to be a little bit of skepticism, but then you have to pull the trigger as well. Yeah. You can't win unless you put something in the race. So, and the one thing I will say, I know you said like the first 2 properties are super important. They definitely are 100%. That first one it's just so crucial, because if you get that first one wrong, you'll kill the whole idea of ever doing it again. There's a double component of it. You kill any adage, any desire ever to want to do it again. 99% of people will. And then obviously the flip side of it is if you do exceptionally well on the first property, it will keep feeding you deposits to scale you for your next 2, 3, 4 deals as well, which just set the tempo for everything to be a win. So yeah, man, they're the two things I'd really I guess preface the conversation with.
I love it. Thanks very much. So let's go to partners not being aligned, because I think that's probably where I see the biggest issue is, where one partner's, and it's something like this.
Yeah.
They listen to your podcast, they listen to ours, they're hours deep, and they literally go to their partner and go, hey, by the way, we're speaking to APS and we're speaking to these guys, like the handbrake comes on, go, hang on, you're doing what? Who's all these people? Using my income for servicing, but I didn't agree to all this, or the house is now getting refied and we're pulling equity out. What's going on here?
Of course.
How do we get alignment as a couple?
Yeah, man. I think it's a really good point to make, and we see it so often. I obviously see it a lot more when I was on the front end. I'm not on the front end with discovery calls anymore. But man, I think it's one of those things, like you can't expect your partner to just be on board because you are. Now, I'll say 50% of clients, their partners just trust them and go, look, babe, if you want to do it, I'm happy to back you. You better not stuff it up because you only got one shot of this. You stuff it up, you're not going to get another go. But they'll back them, right? But then the other 50%, man, is like they're the skeptical ones. You may have consumed 1,000 hours worth of podcasts and reading material and YouTube and all the rest of the sort of thing. You may have consumed so much content that you're just so keen to get amongst it.
Yeah.
If they haven't, and then you go book in a call, or you go book in 5 calls with 5 different BAs, and they're just like, oh, hang on, like, what are we doing here? You can't expect them to immediately be on board. So, man, you need to get them involved in the journey, especially if we're talking about like proper long-term partners, like your wife or your significant other, especially if they're going in as a borrower as well. They need to feel buy-in on it too, And so we spoke the last time about the summit, the boot camp in the previous chat we had, and I know a lot of people brought their partners to that who hadn't really had too much exposure, or they listened to a couple of podcasts.
That's one thing I noticed at the summit. I felt there was a lot more partners this time.
There was, man. 100%. And I think it was really cool because like they can see who the partner really wants to invest in. I mean, a huge amount of the room were clients already, but they hadn't really like heard too much or seen exactly what we're about. I think when they sort of come along and they see the passion and like what we actually want to do and what we're out there to do, they get a lot more buy-in, right? But not everyone uses us obviously as buyer's agency, as a buyer's agent as well. So I think what you need to do is the easiest way to do it is get them aligned with, especially if you're working with a different buyer's agent, or if you're working with us, or if you're trying to do it yourself and all this sort of thing, whichever avenue it is that you're sort of going down, I would get them comfortable with the premise and the investing strategy that either that person, that company, or you want to pursue. And whether that's getting them to listen to other things or explaining different things to them, or if you're doing a course or whatever it is, like getting them involved in different things that will make them feel sort of part of it as well, and so that they can sort of understand. And I think that's the biggest thing, man, is sort of getting them on as close a wavelength as you can to yourself. Obviously, if you're all in, you're gung-ho, you want to go crazy on it, they're undoubtedly not going to be at the same level, but can you get them comfortable with it? And I think the biggest thing is if you can get them comfortable with it, and then they're comfortable enough to do a purchase together, or if you're just doing the purchase yourself or whatever it is, and then they see the result, so often results speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. Results speak louder than words. You get that great result and they go, oh, sweet, I got $100,000 of equity to pull out in 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. You can pull that out and there's literally a deposit for another deal. Proof is now in the pudding, and a lot of the time it's a lot easier. So, man, I think if they need to be involved in it to get them on board to do the purchasing, getting them in line with the comm style and the strategy style that you're wanting to pursue is huge. And then obviously make sure you're choosing the right company that gets the runs on the boards if that's the avenue you're going to go down. So then they can feel confident about it, and you can remain confident about it as well.
I agree. Yeah, so I think there's nothing.
What do you reckon?
There's nothing more polarizing than financial alignment as a couple. You can agree on a lot of things, and I really like what's the guy out of America, the old dude, Dave Ramsey. Okay. I really like his approach. He's like, you can agree on a lot of things. How to raise our kids, religion, how we deal with our in-laws, for example, for sure. Education for kids. It goes on. We can get a lot of alignment around that. But I read this that a marriage can survive infidelity, but it can't survive financial issues if there's massive financial issues. And that just shows me the gravity of how to get on the same, how important it is to get on the same page financially. Interesting. Because nothing will tear a couple apart than really bad financial decisions.
And it doesn't surprise me, man, because like you think how hard we all have to work to put, especially like, I'll go back to the example when I got burnt by a BA. man, I was clearing like 50 grand, 55 grand a year. 10 grand was a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
If you go out there and buy
Mate,
deals,
10 grand today is still
it's,
like,
it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously,
Yeah,
it killed me. Yeah. But even now, losing 10 grand now, of course. But man, losing any sort of significant sum of money, especially when we start talking these days, like 100,000 or something like that, of like because property prices are obviously a lot dearer now as well.
Yeah.
You know, mistakes like that, man, or buying into an off the plan, or buying a house and land that just does nothing for 10 years, you sell it at a loss, like, and you work out the actual net loss on it. Man, stuff like that, 100% I've seen cause really, really bad issues, and understandably so. So yeah, man, it's one of those things. It can be crippling, man. I've seen it for sure, firsthand. So it's a great point to make. What do you what do you think are the easiest ways, in your opinion, that you've seen?
I think involve them very early and start. And that's why we say always listen to this episode. If you share it. The other thing that I spoke about in one of our previous episodes is listen to the episode together.
For sure.
I did this one day with Bernadette. We listened to Morgan Housel on Diary of a CEO.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good episode. And as we were talking, I was like, how did you get that out of that conversation? I got something completely different.
Sure.
And we work in money,
yeah.
you know? And that was the penny drop moment for me, which was we can listen to the same thing and we can take completely different things out of it. And I think trust has a major part to play in this as well. I think the first thing that happens is one partner spends so much time deep in the APS rabbit hole and the person just goes, I need to protect this person.
Yeah.
Mate, who's this? What's this
cult?
What's this? What are they selling, for example? And that's when the spiny senses go up and it's like, I need to protect this person because they're balls deep in someone else's methodology or philosophy. How do you go on this journey together? And I can say as a parent, trying to get that crucial time to have a chat becomes a real luxury, mate, because once you've got kids, we're running a business, you got this, you got that. To then put yourself really high on the agenda, let's talk about something really deep, like our financial future and who we're investing and how we're doing it without it being late at night. We're super tired,
stressed.
You got me at a bad time. I'm not in the headspace to talk about it. And now you want to talk about these big decisions, not the time or place. And you can understand why these conversations get kicked down the curb for so long. For sure. Until the kids get towards the tail end of high school and you miss this massive window of opportunity.
15 to 20 years, man.
Mate, correct. And I'm like, how do you, and I can say this because we're so in the trenches right now, 7 and 5-year-olds, like if we do not carve out this time for us to go deep, man, it takes a lot of effort. There's babysitters involved, me getting involved with spreadsheets, Bernie's coming with her questions. It's a bit unsexy to go and have dinner and talk about our finances, for example. But until
depends on the individuals.
Oh, mate,
I love that.
Don't worry, I love it. Gets me going too.
Right. I think it would be a sexy conversation if we did that over dinner.
I love when you talk dirty about spreadsheets, you know.
Don't get me started on yields, all right?
But what happens is it's momentum and you're moving in the direction. And I don't mind a bit of headbutting at the start. For sure. Because I'm like, you've been seen, you've been heard, but we've cleared the air and now we can move forward. Yeah. And just like you can't build a house of 2 different blueprints, you can't build a financial future of 2 different blueprints. And the earlier and the quicker we can get alignment and we can butt heads and it's okay to butt heads. But at that point, I've heard you and I've seen you, but now we're going to move forward. Yeah. Why don't, if you're the one that's the handbrake, then why don't you take the reins and you own it for a little bit as well? And then we both have a bit of a dance. Someone's offense, someone's defense in this portfolio building phase as well.
I love that, man. I love that. You know what's crazy? And you would have seen this on stage with, remember Will and Robin that were on stage at the summit, right? And they went through their story and Robin was so nervous. And Will came up to Sydney by himself last year because it was something, they were putting their primary residence on the market, right? So they made that decision, And
I got to tell you, that is the biggest bone of contention.
100%. But that's okay. That can be a little bit further down the track. Yeah. But it's funny, man. Will came up by himself and signed up to mentoring, which was with me. It was application-based process last year for only 10 people out of over 200 people applied. And it was funny, man, like the change in mindset that she went through over that 12-month window, being entrenched with it, obviously working closely with me on it. And it's funny because they sold the primary residence and they bought 8 properties in 2025. And she said on stage, she feels more financially secure now and more comfortable now with 3 times as much debt than she did owning the primary residence because they can see the path now. She could never see the path before. They had the primary residence, but it wasn't until they sort of came into alignment and then actually went through the journey and the process together. And that might sound super scary for most people to say that, but you got to remember they're in areas, they're seeing massive growth. The cash flow is taking care of more of the portfolio. They're renting now considerably cheaper than what they were owning before in very similar, very similar house, but at half the rental payments versus the mortgage, and they're scaling their wealth. And so she feels so much more more comfortable. And man, it was really interesting for her to sort of say that. And it's funny because she was almost like at the start of mentoring, like on the back foot. Yeah. And then she's like messaging me every couple of weeks. She's like sending me spreadsheets and stuff. And she like then was like all in on it. But they did 8 deals. They're 8 deals in 2025. What are they going to do in 2026? Okay. It's crazy, man. And one of the other things I'll throw in on top of this as well, that I really see people become into alignment from is the partner will pick a podcast they think is very relevant to the partner. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a bit of a hack here for you guys and girls, whoever partner isn't on board. And so often, especially if it's the female that isn't on board, they pick a female investor story from a Scouting Australia podcast, or a couple and the partner's quite on board with it as well. And when the partner, the significant other gets in the car, you might be whatever point in the podcast you want to be at. Yeah. You go, I'm just finishing this. Would you mind if I just listen to this for another 10 minutes and we'll change it? And then they hit play on the podcast and it's her going into, or it's like in a minute or two, it goes into her talking about, the changes, we did this or that or whatever. And so often, man. And the funny thing is, the first time I ever heard this was actually from another client of mine. Actually lives down Narroway. And it was Sal, it was a female who did this to her partner. And then he jumped on board and now he's all in on it. and it was crazy. She literally did that. And I've heard so many of the blokes do it as well. They get the female investor stories or whatever on there. And they start talking about their wins and their experiences and the relatability side. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's the relatability piece, specifically with whatever you think your partner will align and relate to. That is almost always the best podcast to put on in the car with them. If they're, hey, babe, do you mind if I just listen to this for another 15 minutes? And then they listen to it and they're like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Oh, yeah, see, I've spoken about this or something. You know what I mean? And then they start to get that little bit of a buy-in, but don't hit them with the, inflation podcast with Big Lukey or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if that's not their style of thing, but investor stories with the ladies, different investing strategies, all these different sorts of things, the things that you think would align to them as a personality, how you bring them more closely aligned, give them something to listen to that they actually would enjoy, and that they might take something out of.
Mate, absolutely. And the episodes that I do with Bernadette, I think that I tell that to clients, like, listen to this, give this to your wife or your significant other, because they want to hear it from one of their own, for example, because they talk to the fears, they talk to insecurities, they talk to lack of trust, for example. And the second we can start to address those elephants in the room, mate, they'll drop the guard. Yep. We get alignment, for example. It's no different to we're trying to get alignment around health. Wealth is the exact same part, but really kind of you can just ignore it and it can go years and years and years without taking any action.
Which we hear about so often.
Mate, spot on. Spot on.
One other quick final thing I'll do on that, I'll just make a note on that. It's popped into my head. Do you remember at the boot camp, Nathan and Caitlin were up on stage? Yes. And Caitlin said her favorite property in a whole portfolio, so I think they'd done 6 or 7 deals this year as well, was the commercial deal. Mate. It was the one deal she didn't want to buy. She was like, Sammy, I don't want to buy commercial. I'm always scared of it. I don't want to do it. She's owned that thing nearly since the start of the year. It props up like 4 other properties in the portfolio. And she literally said, like, that's my favorite property by far, in front of all those people. And I think it's mad, man, because it's just like, sometimes you got to challenge those beliefs a little bit, but show them the reasons why as well. Whether it's the wins or with Caitlin, I had to show the net cash flows that we were going to get from an asset. Yes. And this is why we needed to put in the portfolio so they could keep moving forward. And I think, man, it's these sorts of things, whether it's helping them become aligned to get started on the journey or whether it's to help them realize different things further along the journey so they can level up as an investor as well. Man, it's the whole reason I started School of Property, man, was because I was like, I can no longer mentor all these clients or give education to all these clients the way that I would love to. So I started School of Property. I broke down our whole investing methodology, I did the monthly webinars, all this sort of stuff. So you can still hit the masses with the information that they need. I don't say the masses, I mean the APS client base. Yeah. I can still hit them with the information that I need them to learn and to keep picking up and to keep them very relevant of what's happening in the market, as well as be able to obviously keep moving forward too.
I agree. And some people, I'm this way inclined. Don't tell me, show me. So you can't just explain to me how something's going to work. I'm like, show me on a spreadsheet. I'm a visual dude. Draw this thing out. I'm like, away we go. I'm like, I can see it now. Yeah. And that's probably where, if it's not landing for a partner, they're learning so much different. It's like, don't tell them, show them. It might be a video, for example. It's not like an audio medium. It's a visual medium as well. And that's where, YouTube really helps. But
so often do you break this stuff down, especially the simplicity of it. Like sometimes listening to it, if you've never heard it before, it can be I'm a very visual learner. Yeah. So I actually don't listen to podcasts. And it's funny because like so much of what I do is podcasting. Correct. I don't listen to other podcasts. Very, very rarely. Unless someone specifically sends me something that I trust their judgment and they go, man, you go listen to this. I'll listen to that. Outside of that, man, I don't, because so much of my learning comes from visual. Whether I'm writing something and so much of what I have learnt or whatever, I teach myself, and I'll figure different things out, and then I'll map it all out. And it's like, okay, sweet, that makes sense.
Correct. Let's have a look at another one. The skepticism we spoke about.
Yeah.
Alignment with partners, trust, and building a team. Now, trust is, I trust my parents' broker. My brother used a buyer's agent. They're a bit more boutiquey, for example. How do I build trust in the team? Because we're as a service-based business, the only time that we actually earn our stripes is after the deal is done.
For sure.
Yeah.
The good ones.
The good
so
ones.
This actually, there's the first things, right? So buyer's agent I got burnt by, he didn't. He got paid before. So he took his whole fee up front. It's the whole reason why our business model is heavily scaled towards a small engagement fee at the start to get buy-in, but then the rest is paid on completion, on service, right? On settlement. And the biggest reason we do that is because I got burnt by someone who didn't operate by that ethos, right? So that's really the first thing I'd throw in is when someone's getting paid, and if they're getting paid up front, why is that? Are they not confident in their ability to deliver? Because most of the time people who get paid a heavy amount on the upfront aren't confident in what they're going to deliver. Now, man, in terms of aligning the team, for me, super simple. And I love the fact, and all, what am I going to call it? I think APS recommended brokers, right? Which you obviously are firmly one of those as well, are active investors themselves, okay? And the biggest thing, man, for me, when I look at this thing is, has the team that you're looking to work with done what you want to do? It's as simple as that. Has the buyer's agent, has the broker, has the accountant. Now, the broker and the accountant, they may not have replaced their income. Well, you may not know, but that's the same as we were talking about earlier. Like, in the previous podcast, like people opt out of the game so early, and it's just like, man, like it's like me. Like I'm still doing this. I don't need to do it, but I'm still doing it because I love the game and building it from an investment side of things, right? But the broker or the accountant may be a lot further on in their journey than a lot of them led on. But the simple fact is, are they active investors themselves, and have they scaled portfolios to the level that you want to get to?
Yeah.
Now, if they've got that ability and they know how to do it, whether they're doing it both doing it for themselves and then doing it for clients as well, that's who you need. I don't care about the family broker or the family accountant or the BA that my brother used or whatever, because at the end of the day, man, has that person done what you want to do and helped a considerable amount of other people also do it? Because what you've got to remember is, like, the longevity in the game and actually going through and doing it yourself, you get the scar tissue, right? Like totally. you look at the big old grizzled lions in the Sahara or whatever, in the bloody on the safaris and that, they're all scarred, they're all scarred all over their body, all over their face, but they're still living because they've learned how to fight through everything and survive. Like that's in the animal world of survival. But if you've gone through and built the portfolio and done it over a long period of time, the amount of scars that you and I have accumulated over the years of mistakes, learnings, being burned, all these different little things, man, that's the thing that you should be paying the fee for, yeah? Yes, you want them to be doing a good service, but they should be helping you avoid making the mistakes. And they can't help you avoid making the mistakes if they haven't gone through and done it themselves.
Totally.
And so this is the biggest thing, man. Like for me, my biggest stall points in my portfolio, the points that cost me the most money, was when I didn't understand this and I made the wrong decisions. I was using a family accountant that was fine for business. She wasn't great for business. She was fine for business. Held me back massively. Almost cost me 54 grand. I told that story on the weekend because she didn't understand just not even simple things, but simple things in the property investing world. She didn't understand, and then so obviously couldn't apply that. And this was a 6-year CGT rule for myself. It was a $54,000 mistake that I almost paid when I was 27, I think it was, again, making that same sort of money, 55, 60 grand a year net after, like she almost cost me my entire post-tax earning by not understanding, simple things in tax like that. I was just lucky I had the education piece myself. But like if people aren't educated and they don't have that level of knowledge, they're going to cost you significant money, whether it's time out of the game, which was a massive part for me for both the incorrect broker and incorrect accountant, but then also potentially big mistakes in that world, which unrecoverable. You make those sorts of mistakes and they can cost you something like 54 grand post-tax in dollars. That's massive, so it's a team, man, that's been through it and done it, been there, done that, of building something that you want to build. That's the easiest way to select the team, to at least whittle down the team to who you should be working with. And then I think it's who you align with beyond that, because there's other buyers agents that have done considerable things themselves in their portfolios and
Yeah.
are decent at what they do. There's other brokers out there that are good at what they do as well.
Yeah.
Have scoured big portfolios. There's other accountants out there that have done good things and helped many, many clients as well. So that's why I think you whittle it down to a small group. And then you select your professionals based off who you like the most out of it. The other thing as well is you might have someone in particular that you really want to work with, right? Be that yourself for broking or maybe myself as a buyer's agent, wealth creation style company. There may be like an individual that you really align with. Okay, I really want to work with you. Who are the professionals that I need to work with as well? Yeah. Or who do you recommend? You know, and so for us, we don't work with anyone that has professionals that are outside of our scope. And the reason for that is because we have a very structured way of doing things. And so we need the team that's aligned to us. So, mate, if I call you on a Saturday night at whatever time, or my accountant or one of the other brokers or one of the accountants or whatever, I know you guys will answer my call because I'm only going to call you if I really need you at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. But if I call you at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, if you're awake, you're going to answer my phone call and go, Sammy, what's the emergency? If you're only calling me if it's an emergency, you know what I mean? So like, they're the sorts of things that like you want the team that's all aligned. Whereas like if I was calling Joe Blow from brokerage down the road and he doesn't know who the hell I am. Yeah, all right, it's whatever. It's Sally's BA. I'm not going to answer his call. It's 10 o'clock on Saturday night. Like for us and the way that we move, we need that alignment with who we work with as well. So often, man, yeah, and this is just for us personally. I don't know anyone else that really operates like that. We kind of work on almost like a very exclusive model the way that we work now, just because we're very exclusive community the way that we work. And that's just the way that we do business because we know that alignment in team is how the client gets the ultimate result.
And everyone can only see the world through their lens, right? You'll see the world through your property lens. I'll see the world through my lending lens. The tax, the accountant will see the world through tax, whether that's land tax, CGT, gearing. And the worst thing I've ever seen is when someone tries to one up each other and go, like, the broker doesn't know what he's talking about, or this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And so the client is the one it's at their detriment.
They're the
when
one
the
that
team
loses
is not aligned.
For sure.
It's like, man, everyone's just trying to beat their chest. It's going, well, hang on, where are we trying to get to? Exactly to your point. Drop the ego as a team and go, right, put the client in the center, the focus of this point, and go, what do they want to achieve here? And how do we help them?
Collective
rather
outcome,
than me just trying to beat my chest and toot my horn, for example, and they're not moving forward. So that's the other part around team alignment that I see. And mate, your industry is very similar to our industry. You take low barriers to entry. My mate's a mate, and I'm going to go to them. And what I've seen is it's okay to have friendships with people that are in those professional circles. But when you want a job done, man, you got to find out who's best in breed and go to them. And everyone's busy that are top tier.
For sure.
Be willing to wait a little bit, slow down to speed up. And at that point, mate, once that Rolling Stones going, you can't stop it.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
flywheel effect, mate. Once you guys are stripping the equity, bang, bang, it's like, mate, we're going. And the biggest issue that I hear with brokers is they're just doing the deal and no one's thinking, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead.
Sure.
And that's that should be bread and butter stuff where it's like, well, we do this and then what? And the clients sometimes, they're not even thinking that way as well.
And they're just punching the ticket, man. Like the business is just punching the ticket. Exactly what you say there. So many of them sort of beat their chests and like, oh, this guy's shit, that guy's shit, whatever. That's why we literally made it like almost like exclusive with who we work with as professionals. Because like we kill that straight. Like we don't even entertain that side of things in terms of who we work with. Because we need everyone to be aligned. Because exactly as you were talking about before, like that collective focus of the group is what allows the client to win. Whereas like you're saying, if everyone's trying to one up each other, someone's going to get caught out with something that's going to go wrong here, and the client's the one that's going to miss out and lose. So yeah, man, I fully agree with you on it. And it's a funny thing. You just need everyone sort of aligned with it. And that's why typically I find if there's someone, whether it's the broker or the BA, the accountant or whatever, that you're really, really aligned with, who do they recommend the most? Or who do they think is the best partner for your specific situation that can help you achieve your goal?
Legend, mate. Thanks. Listeners, I hope that's helped. I hope that's kind of, ticked a few boxes there when you're going, well, how do I invest and how do I move forward? Mate, I know you're conscious of time. You moved your flight back.
We did move the flight
because we're going ahead. So, mate, I appreciate your time as well.
Absolute pleasure.
Now, as I look forward to 2026, and you're probably doing some crystal balling yourself and go, right, what does the future have in store for us? Yeah, as we round out 2025, trust lending, we've kind of seen that come to a bit of a grinding halt with between Macquarie and CBA. Writing was on the wall there, kind of what was happening. I feel like that's going to go exclusively to a non-bank space, a bit like SMSF lending.
For sure.
I reckon the non-banks will own it, which changes 100%. Probably the dynamic in terms of, equity strips and going to non-bank lenders. It's a slight, pay to play model, which is the rates are a little bit higher. So don't be put off by that.
Yep.
You want the product, you got to go, particular lenders like the self-managed super funds, trusts. When you're looking at 2026, what are you seeing as some of the big trends that are particularly coming for either lending, buying property?
Man, it never worries me when things get a little bit harder. I actually enjoy it. I embrace it. I love it. Because when things get a little bit harder, man, the people that know what they're doing, because they show their mettle, you know what I mean? And so the things that were in play by Macquarie specifically for the last 12 to 18 months, it was something that wasn't ever really there in as easy proximity or as ease of application. And now, man, it's changed. It's gone back to you have to know what you're doing, really know what you're doing to be able to keep moving forward. A lot of people will get stuck off the back of this year. Mate, I love that. That's a game that I love to play in because I've been investing for, today's the 24th. On the 17th of November in 2009, I settled my first deal. So I was 16 years, man, almost to the day since I bought my first property. And mate, all I've done is consume, apply, trial, error, learn, grow, keep moving forward. Mate, I love these times. You know what I mean? It just doesn't worry me. I'm always looking for whether it's the correct assets in the correct locations to maximize our clients' wins, or whether we have to pivot a little bit from a lending strategy perspective to keep moving forward. Mate, even from the cash flow side of things, we saw massive yield compression in the residential sector, so we pivoted into commercial. I didn't think I'd ever need to do it, or I wouldn't need to do it for a long time because we could get good enough yields out of unit blocks, duplexes, house and grannies and renos and builds and all that sort of thing. But it comes a time where, man, things change and you can only play the hand you're dealt. And if you only know how to play the hand, if you only know how to play what something is in a specific time frame, you're always going to get stuck. You just have to learn, adapt, man, and okay, what is the hand that we're now dealt? How do we now pivot and adapt to that to keep moving forward? So yeah, man, it just goes back to, it's just to us, it's actually business as usual. I love these times, man. So I'm excited. I think it's a good thing. And the strategic investors out there and the people who know what they're doing are going to keep going forward, and 2026 is going to be a big year. I think in terms of the property market, it's going to be an interesting time. A lot of markets are reaching quite a frothy point in where they are. We saw the effect that the first home owner grant scheme, the updated scheme had on the market, which was significant. And I think it's going to put into overdrive a few select markets that I think people are going to make a lot of money in. But I think it's going to be very strategic where you're going to need to go to make really good money in 2026. But in reality, man, there's no different to all prior years. And you probably know when we've presented different deals to yourself and you're probably going, what the hell? Like, why are we going here, there, or wherever? And then 6 months later, bang, it's like it's sending. Everything makes sense in the hindsight, but it doesn't make sense so much when we put things sometimes on the table. And man, it's just like, it's just always business as usual. But it's just like figuring out the next lending phases that need to be done, figuring out the next market's going to make the most sense over the next 2, 3, 4 years. What makes the most sense from a cash flow perspective? What are the new opportunities? So we're always just looking for everything to do with that side of things, man. Always moving, always pivoting, always growing. And I think like this is where I got a bit fired up in the previous podcast around that dinosaur, prehistoric way of investing. Man, they've been touting the same things for 10, 20, 30 years. Man, get with the program. Like the times have changed. And I think like you have to always be willing to pivot and grow and learn with the market, because the market changes. And things that were relevant literally 3 months ago are no longer relevant in the lending world, let alone 3, 5, 10, 20 years. So man, I think it's just pivoting and growing accordingly. And the thing that I love about it, and I know it's the same for yourself as well, we're both active investors, and I'll never stop being an active investor because I love it, man. We eat, live and breathe it. And what I get to apply for myself, we then get to apply and implement for clients. I always test stuff for myself first before I ever do it for clients.
I've got to say, man, that's one thing I respect about you on the team.
That.
And again, this is me not putting dirt on other BAs, but it's almost like they're not buying that stuff anymore because they've outgrown it, and they'll put clients into it, but they won't put themselves into it. That's something that I said about you guys, which is, mate, you're buying where your clients are buying. In fact, you're going before clients. It's like you're putting your money where your mouth is. I said there's lots of respect around that because other BAs just won't do it. It's too lowbrow for them, I tell that to clients, and like they won't see that because I say, well, the best seat in the house, man. They can see where everyone's doing, what everyone's doing, for example. And
of course,
that's for me, that's I've got to use that to my advantage or our advantage as well, to say, look, I see it. you guys are buying there yourselves, mate. That's there's a lot of credibility that goes into that as well.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, mate. Dude, I really appreciate that, and I think it's like it's something I always say. Like I always put my money where my mouth is, and like if there's a market I believe in, man, I'll buy in there first. I always buy the first property in the location we first enter there, because I want to always put my money where my mouth is. And this is the thing I actually take. People don't realize like how much time and effort, money, energy, research like that we put into the research component, because every location we enter, my name's on that. And so, man, if I'm ever going to put a client in there, I'm going to buy there first for that. And then I'll buy other deals in there too. Cause yeah, man, for one, I really believe in it, because if I pull the trigger on there, I really believe in it, but also whether the market goes up, down, sideways, whatever it is, I want to be in there as much as the clients are as well. If that sort of makes sense. But yeah, man, I'm excited for 2026. I'm curious to see your thoughts on 2026.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that I'm seeing the writing on the wall. Obviously, they're citing investor loans are outpacing what they think that normal rhythm should be.
Yep.
I'd say there's a couple of things that are coming in. This is me just shooting from the hip. That's what I've told our team. You might see DTIs, so debt to income ratios, come back in. So as soon as it goes over a certain level of borrowing, they'll stop that. Net servicing ratios. So you have to have a surplus each month for servicing. Like we could service $1. If there's $1 left over, we take it to the absolute limit.
Yeah.
They'll say, no, we want to see $100 left over, $500 left over, a certain loan to value ratios. Another one, I'd say a shift in terms of like that trust lending. That's a massive one. I think it's a no-brainer. That exclusively goes to non-bank. The SMSF space heats up. The reason I say that is the lead indicator, 10, 12, 15 business days for those banks to pick up deals. You can just see that there's a whole pipeline of clients trying to be active in that space as well. I think commercial, if I go back 12, 18 months ago, commercial was fringe.
Yeah.
Now it's become mainstream.
100%.
And so I find people, lease stock loans, 100, you talk about the amount of possible lending combinations there are to buy commercial.
For sure.
That reserved for self-employed now becomes accessible for a lot of people. So I think that becomes another massive opportunity. I see there's a bit of a reckoning probably in the broker market where, we've probably topped out at, 23,000 mortgage brokers. Broker market share sits at nearly 80%. Now it's broker v broker, not broker v bank.
Interesting.
And so there's a lot of like stone throwing in broker land going, your broker's shit, mine better. It's like, well, hang on, there's enough there for everyone. But the top ones will really kind of accelerate and push away into the big brokerage model. And you got to understand, for me, like when you have your strategists, we have our, loan strategists and analysts, man, that's a 2-year runway for me to get them to where I need them to be. And we've tried to bring brokers in. And when we start to speak about, okay, structure these deals, man, they've never seen past 3-4 investors. They've never seen that. I was like, well, what did you do here? So we can't hire brokers. We've got to train them from the ground up. That's a big cash burn. But we mold them into how we think, how we work, how we structure loans, how they work on my portfolio even. So I'm going to see there's a bit of a shift in the brokerage space, that the solo brokers, they've been waiting for a little bit. That will then start to dip away because of the extra layer of work that we've got to do for each loan to get in.
For sure.
So that's kind of my feel in the market. And the market will still pump anyway.
Yeah.
2026, I'm like, mate, if you thought 2025, the horse had bolted, mate, it's gone. It's not coming back in.
Yep.
And I think I spoke to a client on the way up here, a parent, and we're trying to get their child to buy their second or third investment property. I said, I think we're right in the middle of this divide between the haves and have-nots. We're living in it. So 100%. Your parents could have retired on 1 or 2 investment properties. They would have retired, okay. Now the game is, if I don't have a portfolio, my daughters will be laughing at me going, what were you doing, mate? How's worth $600,000 across the country and you sleep at the wheel? Yeah. And so the next generation will be defined by the parents that have taken action and really like grab the bull by the horns.
I think it's an interesting thing, man. On Scouting Australia podcast, there's actually 3 things I want to touch on there. Man, in the Scouting Australia podcast recently, we covered off is a 10 property portfolio, the new dream home, because so many people are transitioning to that now instead of the primary residence, especially now. And also when you run the yields on primary residences at $3-5 million and what you can pay to rent them versus owning them, it is a crazy difference. So you think about it, like a $3 million primary residence is normally like a $1,200 to $1,500 max a week in rent, right? That's like a 75 grand a year. You own one commercial property, like 1.2 mil or 6% net return. That's paying that for the rest of the time going out with CVI. You know what I mean? Like that's covering that. So a lot of people we're seeing sort of transition almost into that model. $5 million primary residence is renting for $2,000 a week. It's $100,000 a year versus a $4 million loan plus $1.5 million to get into that asset. Seeing a lot of people sort of transition to that now and kind of more having that focus on the property portfolio and scaling that out as opposed to the primary residence.
Yeah.
Something else you touched on there was around the brokers and not being able to sort of hire anyone established and effectively need to go through that training model. Man, we're exactly the same. So I've never hired a direct BA. I've never had anyone come in that I kind of rate when we talk about it. I love to take them. We bring them in as associates to train them up, typically a 12-month runway before they ever sort of sourcing themselves, going through the process of how we do it too. Yeah, man, I just think it's for one, it's the best way that we get the result out of it, but I just don't, no one really follows our philosophy and how strict we are on deals. And so I always find us hiring from the client base, they understand what we are trying to do for clients and we can hold them. I can literally always, I don't ever need to do it, but I could say, would you buy this deal? You know what I mean? And like, because they're all active investors coming in really wanting to do it, eat, living and breathing it. Yeah, man, I think it's for us, and I know it's for you as well. It's the best way to be able to bring people in. Whereas there's good loyalty there as well, because you're giving them an opportunity they may never have sort of had before, and being able to kind of train them your way of doing things and also eat, live and breathe for us, the APS philosophy too.
Do you know, as an employer, this is what I talked to my team about. I was like, man, leave me for 10, 15K. I was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, man.
Go and buy a property. And you'll make 5 to 10x in the next 12, 18 months. It's more than any pay rise can give you.
For sure.
There's a handful of employers that could actually say that to their team. Going, employee benefits isn't a 5% off at a gym membership or a lunch here and there, right? It's actually moving the needle. And we're doing it for clients. I'm like, you've got to be damn sure we're doing it for our team internally as well. And I feel like that's where, if you talk about your team, or like that, we put that squarely on the table going, mate, you got to be willing to put your portfolio.
For sure.
And team will see it. They'll see their name on the campaign board, come through their deals up in lights. And I was like, what are you doing next? And, I think it's phenomenal. Like 100%. When we can talk about, we're doing it for our team, we're doing it. And then clients almost feel a little bit easy. If these guys are doing it internally, then if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us.
It's also the conversation, man. Like you have a more intelligent conversation with your client about what they're doing because you understand, because you've gone along that process and that journey as well. It's much more relatable from that front. And man, that's why I love, like, almost everyone in our business was a client before they came in and started working for us. And I love that, man, because like they have that relatability and they can empathize and sympathize with different situations that a client might be going through, or the stress they might go through on a different lending product or whatever. You know, when you start moving through the paces where different things pick up, or whether it's a bad tenant or insurance claim with different things. Like, this is a simple reality of property investing. We're dealing with people and property, both of which can be bloody painful. You know, and you build a portfolio long enough, you're going to have an issue and you're going to have something pop up. But the beautiful thing, man, we were talking about scar tissue before. The more you do it, the easier it becomes and less stressful it becomes. The more you level up, and this is just, the bigger this thing compounds and grows. Yeah. And one of the things I'd say to these entry-level people sort of starting out is just like almost man, get ready for something to come up, because the more prepared you are for these different things that come up, when they kind of don't, it's sweet. But when they do, you're like, oh, this was a time that Sam and Aaron spoke about that thing that might come up. And this is my opportunity to grow and to learn a lesson from this thing as well. And it might even be, well, how do I handle this situation? What could I have done to preempt this situation so it doesn't happen again? Was it a PM issue? Was it my issue? Was it, all these different things? And yeah, man, like there's nothing in life is ever a loss, as long as you learn from it. And this is a lesson. And a lesson could be 10 grand, like me getting burned at 26. It could be anything, man. It could be 500 grand if you do the wrong thing. But like, can you imagine, like, if you learn a 500 grand lesson, which is a huge lesson, like that's the biggest scar tissue ever, you know what I mean? But even a 10 grand, 5 grand, $500 lesson, all these things, man, it's only a loss you don't learn from it. Because if you can implement it and apply it to your portfolio, you can imagine the amount of things, man, 16 years in the game. And probably the biggest losses I ever had, and like I said, lessons that I learned from it, wasn't even things that actually happened to me. It was things like time out of the game we were talking about before, with different people, team that held me back. Like I probably lost millions of dollars by time out of the market by the wrong team, let alone different things of mistakes of a 10 grand here or whatever of different little mistakes you make on the way through. But you become better from it. You reiterate and just get better and better and better as you do this thing. And then what happens is you get to this point, whether you're 2, 5, 10 years down the journey, nothing phases you.
Yeah.
You've been doing it long enough. You've learned enough lessons. You've acquired enough. You've gone through enough equity releases, strategies, moved this thing through, got stuck, worked around all the different things. you're working with the right team, you trust your team, all these things, man. Then all of a sudden, like, it's just a well-oiled machine that happens. And when things pop up, it's okay, no, solution, problem, solution, problem. Nothing is a problem anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's one of these things, man. You have to embrace the fact that shit is going to come up, but how do you solve that and keep moving forward? There's probably two massive reasons that 92% of property investors get stuck at 2 or less properties. It's not knowing how to get beyond 1 or 2 properties and buying the wrong asset that makes them stuck. And there's also like the investing fatigue, or the fatigue of, I've done this property or that property, or the property manager calls me every month or whatever it is. It's like, fuck, mate, what else can you do that makes you $100,000 a year? What, like, just parked there, bought there, doing that, and you're whinging about 1 call a month. Right. How many hours do you work a week to make $100,000 a year? Right. Let's put it into comparison here. What are you actually whinging about? $100,000 for a 15-minute phone call or a 5-minute phone call once a month versus 50 hours a week in your job for 48 weeks in the year. I know what I'd prefer to do, and I know what I can stack 5 times over to make $500,000 a year, out of doing it from that and scaling that. But they want to whinge about the couple of phone calls. Like, fuck, mate, let's put this thing into actual perspective around what we're talking about here.
You know why I'm laughing? Because we get clients that go, independent legal advice.
Oh my God.
Mate, I got to get do you know, I'm busy during my work day. I got to go see a lawyer. $200. I was like, right, $200, $500. Oh, I forgot we're signing a fifth investment.
$500,000 property. Yeah. Man, it's a joke.
And I was like, you got to be a bit jestful about it at that point.
You know what the thing is? I say it's a joke and you're laughing about it, right? Like, we're both saying it's a joke, but we probably both thought that when we did it as well. First time.
The amount of loan docs, I was like, I was like, how many fucking loans?
Yeah, we get it, man. But now to us, it's like nothing, because we can see where it gets to. Yeah. You know what I mean? What it actually achieves out of it. And that's why, like, I'm just saying, like, you've just got to push through it and understand that these things are annoying. They are painful at the start, but it's all part of it. So that's that scar tissue. Well, all of a sudden just heals up.
Uncommon territory. It's like,
for sure,
the common person gave up, just like in broking, 50% of people fell in the first 2 years, and you get to 10 years. And I feel like it was slow. And then it just gets this accelerated. It's a bit like your investing journey. It's like slow, bang. And you put the slide up Warren Buffett, and I was like slow, bang. And it's like you just had to stay in the game long enough. Others opted out. Others quit too early. Others didn't have the ticker to keep going. And literally, there's that really good story about, standing in line to hit the baseball to get $1 million. I'm not sure if you heard this one. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And so you stand in line, and whoever can hit a home run gets $1 million.
Yeah.
And so you stand in line, you miss, and you go back to the queue and you wait your line to get in turn. And there's people that just hit once and they're done.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to be one of the few left in the line, and your odds get better.
For sure.
And you just don't give up. Yeah. And I feel like if you just drill that mentality into people, just going, this game is Stephen Bradbury, you just don't give up. And just by hanging in there, you could just, scoop in and just play the long game.
Now, I'll tell you one thing, right? All anyone genuinely needs to do to become ridiculously wealthy in their life is figure out how to buy 2 properties a year, every year for a 5-year window. If you can only do 1 this year and 1 next year, that's okay. In year 3, can you do 2 a year? Beautiful. All right. Do 2 a year every year for 5 years. In 5 years, you own a 10 property portfolio. If that is all that you do in life, and I guarantee you that won't be all you do.
No,
you get to that point,
they're bitten by the bug.
100%. And like let's say you got a 5 to 7 mil portfolio in that time. Everyone will be like, oh yeah, you can do that. So it's like, you get the right team around you, guarantee you can do it, right? If that is all you do, I promise you the person you'll get to by the end of that journey, just by the end of that 5 years, and you're talking about early in the previous podcast, people making $350 a year and they don't feel rich, the Henrys, whatever it was. And it's like, if that is literally all that you do, I promise you the person you'll get to by the end of it, the wealth that you'll create off the back of that, even if you sat there for another 5 years and did nothing, which we both know is not going to happen, because you build 10 property portfolio in 5 years, you're in the top like 0.0001% of property investors in Australia. You're elite. How do you get there? You work with an elite team that can help you get there. If that is all that if that is even all that you did, that's a 5 to 7 mil portfolio. Carry that through 1 growth cycle. You buy a house better than you ever thought you'll ever be able to own. You can achieve more than you ever thought you were going to achieve. And everyone will look at you and go, holy fuck, how did that person do it? All I did was buy 2 properties a year for 5 years. Exactly like I heard that one time on the podcast. If that is all that you do, promise you, everything you've ever wanted to achieve in life, you'll achieve it. Guarantee you, man.
Love it, man. I can't
Guaranteed.
even add any more to that. I'm
I
gonna
think
leave
we
it.
need to.
I'm gonna let
That
it
was
simmer
good.
there.
100%.
Let it simmer
Look at this,
there.
man. Give myself goosebumps on this thing. Come on, look at this stuff. I love it. Literally, man.
That is almost too easy for people to go. It's got to be harder than that. It's like it actually doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be harder,
more
man.
complex than that.
You get the right team. We were talking before about the right team. You get the right broker, accountant, BA, especially if you don't know what you're doing with this thing. Man, you get the right team around you, get the right nucleus around you to help you move forward and do that, man. That's all you do, mate. You'll achieve anything, everything you've ever wanted to. Do you think I ever thought I was going to get to where I am right now? I always knew I'd have a Ferrari. I always knew as a kid, I always knew I'd have a Ferrari. I never, ever thought I'd get to the level I'm at now, ever. All I did, man, I just kept going. I didn't take no for an answer, just kept going.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
I think that's where if you stacked the two properties for 5 years and you just have this attitude that even if you get knocked down, you get back up again and you keep going and nothing's going to hold you back. Like that, those two, the right mindset with the right team, you will go the distance.
100%.
And that's where the success is kind of won and lost, man.
But the ultimate thing here, the one final thing I want to leave people with is you could have the best team in the world around you. You're the one that has to pull the trigger. You have to sign the loan docs. You have to action it. Yes, they could be accountability partners for you or someone else could be an accountability partner or whatever. But you're the one that has to keep pushing the needle forward and keep moving it forward time and time again. Like it is you. You have to commit to wanting to do it. And not wanting to do it, you just have to commit to doing it. It's as simple as that. But it's on you, right? If you don't come to Aaron and I, or like, you know, it's like whether you want to do it or not, like we're happy to help you as much as we can help you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to keep pushing it forward as well. If you hold yourself accountable to that, like I said, man, like the person you'll be at the end of it and what you create at the end of it, man, nothing can match it. But it's down to you.
I reckon at this stage, if I looked at our Kanban board, I reckon we've got about over 500 strategies we've done with single clients.
Yep.
We've probably got about in excess of maybe 600 fact finds that have gone out to clients for them to finish. And like, we don't chase you. Like at that point, I'm like, we can't chase you. That means we're just kind of selling a loan solution for you. You got to want it bad enough that you say, yeah, I want to own it. I want to move it forward. We made a rule. It's like, man, we've got all these follow-up mechanisms. Like, stop it. Whoever wants to move forward, they're going to get back to us and they're going to do it. Because we only want to work with that level of engagement to go, yeah, I want it bad enough. I'm going to reply that email. How do I move it forward, for example, as opposed to us having to put on a resource or build tech to go, here's the follow-up, funnel or some shit. I was like, there's no funnels to follow up. You either want it or you don't. I can't help you.
Yeah. You said earlier in this thing as well around that the elite level of brokers will leave everyone else for dust, right? Over the next, and I believe it's already being done. The elite level in all their fields will be exactly the same. And man, if you get access to the elite and you've got the ability to work with elite, but then you're not the one, like you're not also willing to push it. What you got to remember is like elite thrive off elite. You know what I mean? Like, and even if you might not feel like you're in an elite position right now, but if you've got the mentality of just like, I just want to go. I mean, people like you and I, we thrive off that. Like they're the people we want to help and grow and build with. You know what I mean? Like, man, like they're the sorts of people, mate, that's just like you want to help them achieve. And if they're pushing and doing everything they can, you're going to push and do everything you can. And I'm going to push and do everything I can to help that person because they've got the drive, man. And we want to see them succeed. Okay. If you're making $500,000 a year and you can't even be bothered to fill out an application for it, but I don't give a fuck. We don't need you as a client. You don't need us as a client. There's enough people lining up for it. You want the people that are fully committed to that thing, man. And that's what I think for me and the way that we built the business now and the way that we've grown it, man, like the people that really want it, they're the people we really want to help. I don't care if you come here making $500,000 a year, $5 million a year, you come to me with $50 million. I don't care. You come in with $50 million. That's a lot of lower income earning clients. I can't actually help. So I actually don't want that client. You know, you come in to a couple of big commercials, you're saying, sweet, let's do that. But all the little guys, they're the ones I want to help, man, whether it's whatever it is, right? All levels. But it's just like, you come in swinging it, like that's not the vibe, man. Like you've got to want it as well. And that's what I'm trying to put here. You've got to want it as well. You want it, man, and you're working with an elite team. They will help you get there. But it's down to you to want it and keep pushing it as well. And the right team there will help you get it.
I love it. Nothing more to add. I'm going to let it.
Let's leave it there. We go on tangents. I love that.
Let it simmer. Guys, girls, if you've loved this chat, like we said, mate, if you need your partner to come on board, share this episode, listen to it together, plug into what you guys are doing. Scouting Australia podcast is phenomenal. Top
Appreciate
1%,
that.
phenomenal. Just keep filling your head with some really, really good content. And at some point, there's going to be something that just flicks the switch and you're going to shoot off to the races, mate. So, Sammy, thank you so much. You've been super generous with your time.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Your energy is palpable, buddy. and I can't help it. It's so contagious. I tell you, everyone, it's like the team, like get around the energy because you strap yourself on, this rocket ship. It's going places.
100%.
And she's taking everyone with you to the moon, buddy. So, mate, kudos to you guys on the team. Keep going. Can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for you guys, buddy.
I love it, mate. Likewise, man. Thanks as always for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure, sharing the time and joining you on the mic as well, man. So, hats off, fella, and looking forward to a massive 26 alongside you as well.
Good on you, mate. That's a wrap for another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. We'll talk to you next time.